Namaskaram to everyone. Thank you for joining me on another episode of the official Brotherhood podcast. I really appreciate it. So before we get started with today's selected pattern, I would like to quickly say a few things. First of all, I feel that after doing a few episodes of this podcast, some structure is necessary in the proceedings. So what I've decided to do, hopefully I can put this into practice. It's just an idea right now. Hopefully my goal is to organize these episodes into playlists or categories so that it's easier for a listener like you to find what you're looking for. So for example, if you're looking for, let's say, I don't know, a Korve in Mukaladam Aditalam Retakala, you can, instead of searching through all my episodes, you can just go through this kind of catalog system that I'm going to create, and you'll be able to easily find it. Now, I don't believe I actually have a Korva in Aditalam Mukaladam yet, but this podcast is pretty young, so definitely I will cover all the bases throughout the show. So with that, let's get to today's pattern. And today's going to be a little different. Today is actually not a Korve or an Abhiprayam. It's actually, we're going to be focusing on Adidis today. So an Adidi is basically, some people also call it a Tirmanam. It's basically like the ending of a, like the Pallavi, after the Pallavi or the Anupallavi of a Korve. Or, I'm sorry, of a Korve. I'm so used to saying Korve on this show that my mind is messed up. So what I meant was like after the Pallavi or Anupallavi of a song, you play some kind of Adi. So today is going to be focused not as much on the Tani, the solo aspect of the playing, but of the accompaniment, and in particular the Adis. So today I'm going to discuss two Adi patterns. They're sort of like series or progressions. They build upon one another, and obviously Adis can be played in any talam, but depending on their measure and where you start them in talam. But for today, just to make it easy, I'm gonna say these and then play these korves in just simple play in Adi Talam so that it's easier to grasp. So there's two Adi series. I'll start with this one. I'll say the first installment in the series first. So this Adi is 5 beats, and once I say a few of these, you'll start to get the pattern hopefully. So if it's 5 beats, that means in Uttakala, in 8-beat Aditalam, we start 3 beats after the sum up. So 1, 2, 3. So I'll say it again. 1, 2, 3. So this Aditi series and this particular Aditi is kind of broken up into like a decreasing order. So it goes, and I said it with a little bit of space in between, just so that you could hear the individual parts. But in this actual Aditi, you just say it without any gap in between. So again, the parts are, and then finally tatim. So you're sort of decreasing the measure of the stroke, and in this particular case, in the 5-beat installment of this series, there's no convey or no gap in between the strokes. So this is what that Aditi sounds like when it is played. 1, 2, 3. So now this Aditi can be played exactly how I just played it in Adi Talam, after 3 beats, or if you're doing it in Retakala, you're gonna have to do it 5 beats after the halfway point on the Advanam. Or you could do it in Kanda Chapu. If it's 5 beats, summum to summum, for 2 Advanams, it'll count. And just like that, you can play this Korve, this Aditi, in so many different talams, as long as you know the alava and where to start. So I'll leave you at that for this part. The next sort of installment in this Aditi series is the same thing, except we're going to be adding some kandas in between. So this Aditi, the last one was 5 beats, and this one is going to be 6 beats. So here it is, and we start 2 beats after the summum for 6-beat Aditi. 1, 2. So last time I said we gave no karma. I actually kind of lied. It's actually 1 karma. Is actually 1 karma. 0 karmas would be so something like that. Like there would be no dim in between the parts, you know what I mean. So in the first round we actually had did that dim, did that dim, did that dim, did that dim, except it was all played consecutively. So there actually was one conva in that. But in this one, which I just said, we're doing two convas. And this is a 6-beat conve. It's increased this as a result of adding conves to this. We've increased the measure of this ardi by 1 beat. And if you think about it, the math makes sense. You're adding before it was one conve in between each of the phrases. Now it's two conves in between each, and there's 4 gaps. So if you're adding from 1 becomes 2, 1 becomes 2, 1 becomes 2, 1 becomes 2, 4 times, because there's 4 gaps. Therefore, you're adding 4 points. Your overall end product is that you're adding 4 points to this ardi, and 4 points, as you know, is the same as 1 beat in Chatusra. Therefore, this ardi is 6 beats. 6 beats after adding these convas. And now the next, and I should play that for you. So here it is. 1, 2. So that's what that sounds like. And again, since it's 6 beats, you can apply it in a whole bunch of talams, rumka talam, samam. You know, if you want to get creative, Mr. Chapu after 1 beat, you could start that. And then Adi Talam after two beats, or after 2 beats after the half Ardhanam, depending on which version of Adi Talam you're playing in. So now we'll continue to the next installment in the series, which is and it's 7 beats. So the first one is 5, next one is 6, this one is 7, and here it goes. So 7 beats means we start 1 beat after the song. So hopefully you're probably getting a kind of a pattern after I've said a few of these. So the first time we give 1 kadva, second time we give 2 kadvas, and this time we're giving 3 kadvas in between the progression. And therefore, since 2 becomes 3 4 times, you're adding 4 points to the ardi, so the total value goes up from 6 to 7. And like I said before, as is the case for all of these ardis, you can apply this one in Mr. Chapu if you wanted, like samam to samam, 7 beats would work. Just like I said, Adi Talam after 1 beat, or depending on which version you put. So there's that kodva, and that ardi, and I'll play that ardi for you. 1. Okay, and then the next one, I hope you're getting the idea. The next one is just the same thing, 4 kadves. So, and it's 8 beats. So take it 4 beats. So that's what this is what that sounds like. And that can once again be played in Adi Talam, Samam to Samam, or Rectical Adi Talam from the Arayadam. Or in a bunch of talams. I'll leave you to figure that out. And then finally, the last installment in this is just with 5 kadvas. So, and that's 9 beats. So you have to start actually 1 beat before the start of the Ardhanam. So, so this is what that sounds like. So there, excuse me, there is that series, and this korva is 9 beats, so it can be played in Rupa Katalam, it can be even played in Kanda Tripita if you have a korva, if you have a Tanya Avardhanam in that particular talam. So there is this set of talams, or these, any of which can be applied in a song, in a vast majority of songs that you'll come across if you're a company. So on to the next and final out of these series. It's a very similar concept, except a very similar concept to the one I just said, but the strokes are a little bit different and the progression is a little bit different. So the first installment in this Adi series goes as follows, and it's 5 beats, so 3 beats after the salam in Adi Taram. So 1, 2, 3. So let me play that. So the way this works is there's 3 parts to this. The first part is and then and then so so the first time it's just playing pretty straightforward. The second time it's So you're adding two cars at the beginning, and then instead of you're doing so you go from to and then finally, instead of having two carves in front, you have four carves. So so it goes from and then and then so hopefully that progression is made clear. So and then this, as with all of these, this pattern is split by carves. In this case, it's one carve. And that is a 5-beat carve played in all the carves I mentioned for the previous 5-beat carve in the other series. So the next oddity in this particular series goes as follows. It's a 6-beat oddity. So now you might notice that in the previous series, to go from 5 beats to 6 beats, we had to increase the carve from 1 carve to 2 carves. Well, in this case, to go from 5 to 6 beats, we had to actually increase the carve in the oddity from 1 carve to 3 carves. And that is because there's not as much space in this oddity for carves as there is in the previous one. So what I mean is that in that oddity, it just so happened that the stroke landed itself so that there was 4 spots for carves. So if you just added 1 in each spot, you'd have 4. In this case, there's only 2 spots for carve because, as you know, the third, you're playing the stroke 3 times, but you don't have a carve at the end of the oddity, you just end it. So there's only 2 spots. Therefore, you have to increase the carve by a little more each time to compensate for that. So in this case, instead of going from 1 to 2 to attain that 1-beat differential, you have to go from 1 to 3. So let me play that 6-beat carve again. So 1, 2. Okay, and then the next carve, I keep saying carve. Wow. Okay, the next oddity is a 7-beat oddity, and hopefully you're getting the pattern by now. So so how many carves are there? If you said 5, then that's good. You're getting the pattern. So there's 5 carves in this. It started with 1, then 3, and now 5. So and with the same strokes. So this is 7 beats. So here it is. 1. So I gave 5 carves in between that. So let me just quickly play that. So 1. And some of these strokes can be a little tricky because they're kind of syncopated. They're kind of off the beat. So you're gonna have to practice that a few times, or more than a few times if you have to get it. So the next oddity in the series is with 7 carves, and it is 8 beats. Just following the typical pattern. So here it is, and it's from someone to someone in Adi Baram, so I'll just say that. So if you are a little bit struggling with the carves, it's getting longer and longer, it might help to say it in between just for practice. So the way you could say 7 carves is like don't that ding or taka dumi takida. So you could say it like something help you space it out and kind of feel the carves more than just kind of internalizing it at this point. Once you kind of get the hang of the oddity, you should try to internalize the carves more. So I'll play that oddity. So and then finally the last oddity in this series, and the last oddity we're going to cover today, is in the 9-beat oddity. And the 9-beat oddity has 9 carves, and this oddity is not, it's kind of more like an exercise. It doesn't sound that great, but I mean, if you do want to play it, that's fine. But it sounds a little bit weird because there's so much gap in between the strokes. You'll see what I mean. So here's the oddity. So there's lots of time in between those strokes, but here is that oddity played for you. So there it is. We've covered 2 series of oddities today. Both have very similar concepts, but now let's see, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's 5 oddities in each series, so now you know 10 more oddities than you did before. So these are great oddities to apply in songs that you encounter, or even just as a pattern to play in a tani. So thank you for joining me on today's episode of the podcast, and thanks for listening, and good luck with your Berlagam.